Cross Ashi calf crusher counter. Good idea or not? Let's take a look. Okay, your partner's attacking cross Ashi here, heel hook, you free your leg, okay? And when your foot is free, you have an opportunity to enter into this calf crusher, okay? How do you do it? You bring your arm through, okay? You can lock up this figure four, and then essentially what you're doing is you're gonna figure four your legs. So the idea is that his leg is bent. I have my arm in as kind of a fulcrum or a separator, and then I can fall to the side, lock up a figure four or kind of semi-senkaku, and then from here start to extend, and there's a strong finish here, okay? So the question was, is this good? Is it worthwhile? All right? And the way we had discussed it was, there are opportunities sometimes where you're facing a partner here, and you can enter into it instead of doing like kind of a classic knee cut with your leg through. You can kind of step your leg through in this direction, not putting yourself necessarily in cross ashi, but taking this cross step and then punching your arms through into this position, sitting back and locking, okay? So there's like a class of leg locks that involve not surprise attacks exactly, but they're unconventional entries that don't use a control method like ashigarami to enter into them. There's a whole class of things like that. So the question is, if you're caught in like a cross ashi here, and let's say you're able to free your leg, does it make sense for you to start to come back through and lock up attacks like this? The answer is yes and no, okay? So in some cases, when we feel like our partner maybe has a good control over our leg, like cross ashi, actually in all cases, you have a responsibility to defend yourself first. Okay, so if he has my heel exposed and toes locked in, if I start fishing for counters and I'm really stuck in this position and I'm not focused on defense at all, it's usually not a good idea. Okay, he got there first, his position is stronger, his break is stronger. Okay, my finish is good, but it's not as good. So it does require you to understand a little bit about what's going on with like the power of cross ashi versus power of the attack, the counter that I'm using. But you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize you're in a really bad position, especially if your partner's putting heat on this. If you're not defending it, the likelihood is you're gonna get caught. So we're always looking, before we start to counter, we're always doing our best to try to clear out our partner's attack, whatever it might be. Once we've cleared the initial attack, then we can make a decision. For conservative folks, you're usually going to look to try to get out of the position. Okay, in the case of cross ashi, there are a lot of different ways, but here's one. You turn your foot down, looking at the thumb post, slip your knee, get up to your knee, and then start to free your leg. Okay, there's like a whole host of options from there. But if you have confidence in this position, if you feel like you have flexibility, if you feel like tactically your partner is inferior to you when it comes to leg attacks, well, that's fine. Once you're out of the initial danger, now you can start to go forward into some of these counters. And the virtue of these counterattacks is that they're kind of not as obvious in a lot of cases as the defense, so you can kind of catch your partner by surprise. The virtue of this position is once I lock it in place, it's not that easy for him to counter. Okay, he's kind of locked in place here, and even though we can do some hand fighting, if I exert some pressure here, the finish is on. So the short answer is it's not, look, in jiu-jitsu there's no such thing as like a bad submission. Okay, there are submissions that work in limited contexts. And the more limited the context, the less likely it is you're going to use it, so probably the less time you should spend on it. But there are also situations where it's worthwhile to have like kind of an ace up your sleeve to pull out at the last minute. If you watched an example of this, Giancarlo Bodonian last ADCC, when he was in, I can't remember whether it was 50-50 or cross ashi, but he was in a bad position, and the guy was really working for his leg, and he did feel defensively okay. In other words, he wasn't like on the edge of getting finished, but instead of looking to escape, he went back to counter. Okay, so there is certainly a place for that when you're operating at these like super high levels of tournament competition with really, really high level people. You need to be on the lookout for that. When you're building your skills, defense first and then your attacks. So that's the answer to that question. Hopefully it was helpful. Doesn't mean don't try things and be creative, but know the difference between something that's a conservative defensive response and something where you're putting yourself a little bit at risk, okay? If you like this, let us know. Comments and questions down below. Thanks for watching.